Hi guys, welcome back for part 2 of the Impossible Ornament tutorial. We have gotten our stuffed animal inside of the bulb and now we need to restuff it and sew it back up. So basically what you're going to do is you are going to align the hole of the stuffed animal with the hole of the glass, and you are going to use tweezers to put the stuffing back in. Now, I like to use my bent nose tweezers because the angle allows me to stuff into the nose and the arms or legs wherever there needs to be stuffing. Typically, I don't like to remove the stuffing out of the arms and legs or nose because it's just not necessary anyway, and it's too much of a problem to stuff it back. But there are some that I've had to do that before, like with an elephant or a giraffe. So, yeah, you're not going to use up all of the stuffing that you already took out because the stuffing kind of expands, and then also it's in a glass ornament, so it's not going to get smushed or pushed around to where it doesn't look right. So just stuff it until you feel like it's fluffy enough, and then you're ready to sew it back up. Now what I'm doing here, I have a very, very short needle and a very long thread, and the thread is a very high strength because this seam is going to be so bothered with that it becomes a weak seam. So I like to use a strong thread, and I also like to go over it twice just to ensure that it's not going to pop open after it makes its way on the tree or your ornament stand. I only go into one side of the fabric, and then to create the first stitch on the seam, I take the needle and I go back underneath the other side of the seam. So I kind of go into the stuffing first and then come up and then pull the needle out. This makes it easier to be more precise about where you are putting the stitch because you have such a small working area. Basically, the idea is once you get the needle into the place that you want it to go, you're going to pull it with your tweezers until it comes all the way out, and then pull it back up through the hole. Now you'll see how I'm holding the tail end of the thread with my thumb. That helps me in two ways. Number one, it keeps the seam up to the hole of the glass ball, and then number two, it also lets me keep track of the tail so that it's not going all the way through the stuffed animal. So this is going to look like I just put the needle through the head, but I assure you that I didn't. It's just very, very tight against the fur here, and I'm just pushing the needle as far as I possibly can through so that I can grab it on the other side and then pull it up out of the hole. And that's how you're going to make your way across the seam. So I'm just going to speed up the video here so that we can you can kind of just get an idea. The other side of the thread, when I am making the needle insert, I hold it with my forefinger. So you see the tail being held by my thumb and the other side of the thread being held by my forefinger, and that helps keep the seam up close to the hole so that I can keep more control over it. Obviously when I pull the thread up to tighten the stitch, I have to let go with my forefinger so that it can tighten all the way. As I said before, I go in to the stuffing first and then come up through the thread, and I like to do that because it keeps the seam hidden, and the thread, I usually try to match the color of the thread with the color of the fabric or the fur. In this case, I did not have any of the brown thread that I was looking for, so I did go for white. But thankfully, this guy is furry enough that the thread is not going to show through. I also just want to add that if you are doing something with a little bit of a less forgiving fabric, that you're going to want to put your needle to make a thicker seam so that it doesn't come undone. And on top of that, you might want to try and pick a strategic place. Like one time I was doing a Hello Kitty, and so when I took the seam apart, I actually used the seam that was underneath her bow so that the bow would cover it up after it was all done, and you wouldn't really see the stitching as well as you would be able to on something like the giraffe that I've done. So after you get the final part of the stitching done, you're just going to pull both threads as tight as you can, and then without snapping the thread, of course, and then you're going to tie it off. I like to use quilting scissors, but I recently found that there are some nail scissors that you use for cutting like hangnails on. And those work really good as well. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!